Hello, everyone, and welcome to this week's episode of Hotline League. It is going to be such a crazy banger of an episode because the first time in weeks we do not have a guest, and the guests always hold us back. This is actually an intentional decision that we made. I messaged Mark about it earlier because we have had guests for so long, but it becomes harder to have some of the more nuanced conversations when we want to orient towards the guest. And so, believe it or not, that we got a whole awesome episode where we get to have open lines and you guys can say all sorts of stuff. It's going to be great. My constant co-host is here, Mark Zimmerman. How's it going, Mark?
It's going good. I'm glad to be here because now that we don't have a guest, I can talk about all the things I'm watching and not feel bad for going on for about 15 minutes about all the things.
No, it's true. I mean, I think some people really do like when we have, pro players and guests on. I certainly do. It makes my job. I have to talk 50% less, but it is also sometimes nice to just have the more casual vibe, and I know a lot of people have missed that over the past month or so as we've just been chaining in pro players and all that stuff. So what have you been watching?
All right, so I don't know the last time I talked about it. I think I mentioned Paper Girls, but I finished that a while ago. I started an anime called Call of the Night. I also watched Thor Love and Thunder. Started watching The Sandman. We also at one point gave Pretty Little Liars Original Sin a go. There's probably some other stuff I'm forgetting. But yeah, a lot of stuff.
This is the first time, or not this is the first time, but very funny. You said Paper Girls, and I have a bounty to watch a Paper Girls trailer that I'm going to do after the show.
It was really good. I won't spoil. I mean, it's not really.
Don't spoil.
The thing is, a core premise of the show to you, which is shown in trailers, is sometimes considered a spoiler.
I try to avoid spoilers.
I mean, if you consider the entire core premise of the show to be a spoiler, which is also shown in trailers, and
when I turned on Arcane, I didn't know it was about League of Legends. Imagine my surprise, whatever.
Fuck you. When you attended the Riot Games premiere.
Yeah. I was like, it's cool of Riot to host
this. On here.
It was cool of Riot to host this Netflix show. Yeah. I was like, what is...
I hate you. It does some it's not does anything revolutionary, but I think it does some interesting stuff that some shows don't do.
Yeah. Well, that's cool. You know what you're going to be watching probably 2 years from now? What's supposed to be filming next year, this time.
Oh, shit. Stormlight Archive
I think it's Mistborn
adaptation. It's Mistborn for sure. Yeah.
I mean, it's not confirmed, but for those of you... Okay, listen, everybody. We have done our best to help you all stay ahead of the cultural curve for 2 to 3 years now. And for those of you that have not read any Brandon Sanderson stuff, pick up Mistborn. You're running out of time because this movie is going to come out in probably 18 months or something. And then you're all going to not be able to tell people, oh, I read the book and I think the book is better. We're trying to help you.
All your girlfriends are going to love Vin. Ashley has tried to read it, doesn't like his writing, but once she sees Vin on screen, she's going to love it.
All my girlfriends? All of them?
All y'all's. Collectively.
It's very good. It's very good, and yeah, I don't know. For those of you that do have read Brandon Sanderson stuff, but don't pay attention to his streams. He said recently that he would be surprised if they are not on set this time next year, and that an announcement should be coming in the next couple months. I'm curious. So I think on the Shardcast podcast they were talking about how it might be at New York Comic Con, which is October 6th, which is when Worlds is in New York. So I think what I need to do is secure my ability to get into New York Comic Con, just skip out on LCS or Worlds for a day, and
just in case they reveal something.
Yeah, go watch the Mistborn announcement.
That'd be pretty hype. There's also a lot of other good shit coming out soon too. House of the Dragon drops soon.
Is that good?
Lord of the Rings drops soon.
I'm skeptical on both, but we'll see.
I mean, I'm not like they're gonna be the shit, but they're gonna be better than Wheel of Time, right? They have to be.
Yeah. Well, I didn't think Real Time was that bad. It was just like not particularly great. It was still. I'm glad I watched it.
I think it's sour for me the more I thought about it, dude. Just like the middle episodes where they just like stop focusing on their main characters and stuff. Like the
I think it's good from a like historic perspective of fantasy stuff. Like I think it's just that there's been so much good stuff that's come out in the past like 5 months or something. So
I mean, it was also just like some things were beyond their control in terms of like the COVID shutting things down and making them have to like do big rewrites and just like take certain characters out of the finale who absolutely should be there.
yeah.
So like, and then like the CGI was like fucked because of that as well and stuff. Like, I think it was pretty disappointing. But I don't know. I'm still holding out hope that season 2, without those problems, comes back together. But I don't know.
The most recent Thor movie was a little disappointing.
Yeah, it was just so like milk toast, you know.
Yes.
Like it was just so.
They tried
like,
to cram too much into too short of a time. I think if they had chosen either Christian Bale's plotline or Natalie Portman's, they could have done like they could have made a much better movie. But instead, they kind of split the difference between the two, and it did not.
I was shocked Natalie Portman came back to Marvel for this. Her character, like, I don't want to give spoilers, but you know, like her character arc was not what I thought it was. Like I expected more out of her character. It was pretty
I agree.
flat. My favorite thing though was the monochrome space planet fight. That looks
that's
so
everybody's favorite
cool.
moment. That's everyone's favorite moment. Okay,
it looks so cool.
Let's before we get into any more spoilers.
Have you watched Sandman?
Let's move on. I've not watched Sandman.
It like the first episode is so fucking boring. It's
really?
like okay. Yeah, but it's like there's like some little cool bits, but I'm like, when does the story start? It's like basically a massive prologue, and it's just like false start after false start. But like episode 5 and 6 have been so fucking good.
Yeah. By the way, speaking of stuff people should be watching,
League of Legends?
No. Dinner With, which is my new interview series. It came out today with Kobe, so is the first episode. So people go watch that. If you haven't yet, for some reason, go watch it because it's really good. He talks actually about like the anxiety that he experiences sometimes casting and how he'll kind of go into these like it's very fun, and then it gets a little more serious. But it's always funny because it's Kobe, so he's talking about serious topics with a big smile on his face. And then, but it's a good interview. I think people should go check it out.
If we ever do one, my goal is to be the most depressing one you're going to make.
Really?
Yeah.
Dude, depressing content bangs. Whenever people get really depressed when I'm interviewing them, like people are like, "Oh my god, that interview was so good."
My perspective is anything that you make should just try and be the hardest of one type of content. It should be the hypest, the most inspiring, the most wholesome, the most depressing.
Yeah.
I'm going for that last one.
When I'm interviewing pro players and post-game interviews, it's really difficult to get it to be the most anything. Let's put it that way.
This is the most average interview.
People did like the geography surprise test, though.
Yeah, that banged. I really liked it. I think it was like just the pros themselves had so many good little moments, just little lines like Dokla's flyover state, speak of like, I graduated high school, dude. And being like, well, not every pro is doing this good.
Yeah. It hasn't really broken out. I think I was a little bummed. We talked about this where I was like, okay, please let this be. It's such good content. It seems like the type of content that should be able to break out of my like Travis Gafford audience. But I don't feel like it did. Like we hit basically the hard cap of like 35K that my channel can usually hit these days. And so I was hoping that it would like reach further into the League of Legends esports world, but I don't. Maybe I just need to do more episodes. We'll see.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing too, is if it goes viral, great. But if you put out a bunch of things like that, I haven't looked at the viewer retention, but I have to assume it's good.
It's pretty good. It's like 5.5 minutes on like an 8-minute video. So we take that.
Yeah.
So anyway, let's talk about
LCS this week. Huh?
League of Legends.
What's that?
So, did you see? There's a clip out there of Doublelift. So did you see this thing Dokla did an interview earlier on in the split when CLG started to look kind of good, and Dokla said that he's like, I think we're in the top half. I think we can finish top 3 by the end of the split. And Peter said, this guy's trolling. CLG gets top 3, end of split. I eat my shoe, or I eat a shoe. And they are currently tied for 3rd.
Wait, it's so doable. Their next couple games are not that bad, if I remember correctly, too. Hold on, I'm going to
Yeah, so they have basically the same type of schedule that TL has, and they're tied with TL. So I think there's a decent chance they could end up tied with TL. I don't know who has the tiebreaker.
Do they have to? They have to finish above TL, I guess. Peter wouldn't do a tie for 3 to eat a shoe.
Yeah, I don't know. It's also unclear on if end of split means end of regular split or playoffs, and so I think he could always say he meant playoffs if he's trying to avoid it.
If he's a coward.
Yes. CLG plays TSM and
Immortals and 100 Thieves.
Yes.
And Team Liquid, like you said, is very similar. Plays Dig, Golden Guardians, and 100 Thieves. So they both have 100 Thieves, and they both have 2 of the teams in the bottom 4 who are all pretty comparable.
Right.
I mean, I know we're shading Doublelift a little bit, but you yourself, when I was trying to hype up CLG to you on this show, you're like, well, who cares if they're 6 now? Like, why should we get excited about
I didn't care when they were
CLG?
6. I care now that they're tied for 3rd.
Yeah, you can't just jump on the bandwagon now.
People, I definitely can.
And people
know how many times CLG has had moments of life over the past half a decade?
Actually, not that many times.
No, they actually finished pretty high one split, didn't they?
They had 1 3rd place finish in I think it was 2018 or 2019.
Yeah.
But beyond that, it's been pretty much bad.
So but there's been a couple times where they've had some sort of streak or something. Obviously, there's been times where I think they only won 3 games in a split or whatever. But I do not regret my stance. I also still don't think they're going to Worlds. So
I still wouldn't bet on it because I was talking with someone about this, and one of the struggles you have as a broadcaster for League of Legends as well, not just content creator, but people who have been in the scene a long period of time compared to newer viewers. I was talking about this specifically with the churn rate, of viewers who don't remember this stuff is people have been in the scene a long time, have seen so many teams have good regular seasons, but you don't really believe in them, and then they bust her out in playoffs. Teams like Gravity or whatnot, and I think there's still this feeling for a lot of people that CLG is having an incredible split and we want to celebrate that. But then if you put a gun to my head and say, do you think they're making Worlds? My answer is still no. And that it feels bad because you can say, yeah, they're 3rd. And then but you can't really commit to it,
Yeah, I was just going to say, I feel like one of the challenges is you end up in a world where 100 Thieves looked weak for a while. It's funny because now they're 12-3, so it's weird to. It's wait, when did they look weak? Because they're tied for first. But
7 games ago at least, because they're on a 7-game win streak.
I know. But there was a point in time where we were all I don't know about them. And you, Jet, and Raz, I'll never forget this. You, Jet, and Raz had your predictions. You had them going to Worlds in 3rd, and Jet and Raz didn't even have them going to Worlds, which was crazy to me, right? Because they were the finals. But obviously now it looks very much like they're going to Worlds, and so that's the challenge. Is you're if you want CLG in, you have to believe that TL or Cloud9 won't somehow in best of 5s snake that spot from them, right? Which to me that seems incredibly hard to bet. Even if Cloud9's looking super wonky right now, you're kind of well, yeah, but it's Cloud9. They've got this lineup, the best of 5s, I don't know. It's hard not to imagine that something will happen. So I don't know. It'd be hype if CLG goes to Worlds, but I don't.
I would say they should be one of the teams you want to go. Even if they're not, even if they don't do great, I think that you'll have a lot of fun watching them. They're very scrappy.
Who are the 3? Okay, you say they should be one of the 3 teams you want to go. Who are the other 2, Mark, that you want to go?
EG and 100 Thieves. What are you laughing at?
I'm laughing because I feel like it's a cop out. You've just chosen the top 3.
No, Team Liquid's literally tied.
Sorry, So you would rather have TL over 100 Thieves?
No.
Or I mean, sorry, you'd rather have 100 Thieves over TL?
Yeah.
Can I
But
ask?
I'm saying CLG and Team Liquid are tied. So you said I grabbed the top 3 teams. I'm
Yeah,
saying,
yeah.
well,
Sorry,
but
sorry.
there's another team.
I'm just
Yeah.
looking at the board. C becomes before T alphabetically. So CLG ranks top 3. Why? Can I ask you why you would rather have 100T over TL?
100 Thieves over TL?
Yeah, for Worlds.
I mean, they have been historically this iteration of Team Liquid better than them. I don't think that this Team Liquid has shown that next level yet. Compared to maybe the Team Liquids of old. Like, I think 100 Thieves, when they're playing well, when Abba's playing well and their bot lane's playing well, they actually are very explosive and they play aggressive. They can do the like boring scaling thing, but I think legitimately the bot lane can absolutely pop off. And then they work well with Closer, who is absolutely insane. I think his casting and then like the leaked comms showed like how much of a force he is in terms of like decision making and playmaking and whatnot. Some days been a lot better than he had been in some of the past years where I felt like he was just kind of like he was good, but he was just there playing weak side, not contributing a ton. And it feels like he's a bigger force. Team Liquid, when they have good like streaks of one game or two, but I don't know. I just don't believe in them.
Okay, fair enough. What did you think of their weekend this past weekend?
It was good. They absolutely shit on their opponents. But like someone in one of the Reddit comments said it, and I think it's a good point where it's like a game that's over in 5 minutes is almost in some ways like more troll and like less convincing than like a hard fought game for like 15 to 20, which then you make like a good team fight play or something. Like that game was over 5 minutes in because they had better scaling and their top side absolutely snowballed. So it's fucking like, did you really have to be a better team over the whole game, or did it just like instantly go in your favor? And EG, like I was casting that game, and they are a team that like they just ran into Team Liquid. Like they fell like 5K behind, and they were still taking fights like they were even strength. So like, I don't know why they. I mean, I do know why. They're EG, and they just want to pick fights. It's best of one regular season. They don't give a fuck. But like, that's not how people are going to play against them in the postseason when they fall behind. They're going to make Team Liquid actually have to work for it and not just like int into them.
Yeah, that's fair. Okay, so we obviously have this past weekend to talk about. We also have some other news. Peter Zhang now officially banned from literally everything.
Publicly executed.
Yes.
as TSM is wont to say.
What else? All the TSM Legends videos are currently missing from YouTube because
publicly executed, as TSM is wont to say. All their content.
Yeah, because their Twitter or their YouTube channel got banned because somebody hacked it, which is probably not worth talking about, but is very funny. What else? Oh, we got broad live comms this past weekend.
Live comms is correct. There are a couple more of the top 5 player positions that came out. There was
jungler,
top lane jungler and support. You're right.
Yeah.
So those are always fun to debate.
Yes. So that's pretty good. And then I just know that there's been a whole slew of other things that people have wanted to call and talk about, and they've been interesting conversations, but not necessarily ones to have with like Bwipo, for instance, or whatever. I know we even got some people that were frustrated that we were talking about content in the LCS with Bwipo on the show and all that stuff. So I hope that everybody who's wanted to call in and talk about different things that haven't necessarily made sense to have on the show as calls and takes when we've had pro players on will show up for this. Twitch chat, anything else we are forgetting? I don't think
I clearly have something against Team Liquid.
You do?
I guess.
I mean, I agree with that.
Yeah,
you've always been a 100T simp and a TL hater. So
yeah, that's if you've been following the show, you absolutely know I've always had something against Team Liquid.
Yes.
You know, ever since
for me, I think you just have a chip on your shoulder from when they fired
you. When I quit unceremoniously.
You quit. Yeah.
Yeah.
You did one of those classic, you can't fire me, Steve, I quit moments.
Yeah, for sure. The funny thing is, people have no fucking clue. You know, someone was sitting next to me today, or Closer joined us on the desk, and I was talking about something from coaching. He was like, "You were a coach?" I was like, "Yes." What the hell? No.
Honestly, not a bad idea for a surprise test thing is to just be like, what do you know about LCS history? It's like, this member of the podcast used to coach for Team Liquid. Name 2 people.
And they're all going to be like, Jet!
Yeah.
Like, wrong.
Say, name 2 people. These 2 people at one point in time coached for TL. There's a bunch of those you could do. People don't know
jungle
that,
for Dig, jungle for CLG.
People don't know that Kobe used to be a pro player, I think. Like this member of the broadcast used to do that. Yeah, I don't know how many people would know that Azale's a world champion.
I feel like that one, because it's memes, so much people will know he's a world champion.
Yeah, but that assumes pro players are watching the broadcast. That's where the memes are. I don't know if they get it. But it would be interesting.
Yeah.
Also, that meme was like when half the players in this league weren't in the league, right?
That's true too.
Because it was about 8 months ago. So, but at that point in time, half these players were not competing in the
Oh my god! You know what? How many people were not starting at the start of summer that are now starting
in LCS? You mean like start of this summer?
Yeah, even just like, because Dignitas has 4 new players. It's only Blue. I guess they have Blue and Bio, so they have 3. Golden Guardians has a bunch.
You tweeted, Immortals, but you didn't even link the stream.
You don't do that anymore.
No. Somebody from Twitter Gaming came out. It was like, please stop doing this. This is the stupidest thing I've ever seen.
Wait, why?
Because
were people just wrong?
I think they were like, yeah, that's not how it works at all. This is just like a thing that people have. I think what it is when people are posting going live posts constantly. And then, like, those don't do well because they're not very, like, interesting content. And so I think they were, like, post with, like, an interesting picture or something. So
I wouldn't be surprised if, like, the algorithm is just, like, that's a low engagement tweet, I'm not showing it. And people assume that it was because they put the link in it.
Yeah, I don't know.
I mean, the algorithms are weird. And the only thing dumber than the algorithm is people saying they know what the algorithm's doing. None of us know what the algorithms are doing.
Raz says he uses TikToks to promote his going live tweets and it bops, and it will until he finally uses his Twitter account from too many DMCA notices. That's my take.
Raz is if one person of the broadcast was going to lose their social media for one reason or another, it would be Raz.
Yes.
100%.
Yes. 100%. Because he's just like, did you guys see this 30 minutes of this most recent Disney movie? And he'll just
Guys, look at the NBA Finals ending. It just takes the entire last 4 minutes of the finals.
Okay. Captain Scrumps on the chat says, this is so boring. Where are the calls at? So I believe that's our sign to get the calls going. So, Mark, you want to explain how the show works? Wow, we got a lot of people in the pleb and sub calls.
I'm fucking lost. Do you see what's happening in pleb topics underneath? It's like a tab out that says Mark Z3576 Riot has forgotten. It like, what is this?
I don't know.
What is this like? What is going on with Dick Sword tonight?
Yeah, Discord's very strange. Okay. Oh, is that your Discord handle? It's like, for some reason, textualizing your Discord handle?
Yeah, but it's like putting it in the... I'll show you a screenshot.
No, I see it.
Not right now. Yeah. I'm like, what is this?
Okay, explain how the show works, Mark, rather than how
If you've never seen the show, I don't know how it works, but I think you go here to this Discord link. I could be mistaken, but I think you're going to want to click that link and go ahead and join up, and then when you're there, get into the Pleb Calls or Pleb Calls 2 voice channel, where you'll hang out muted so you don't mouth breathe. And then in the Pleb Topics text channel up above, that's where you're going to put in your take, saying what it is that you want to talk about. If we like your take, we'll pull you into the waiting room where you will hang out until it's your turn to come on air, and then we'll talk to you.
We should pull David because he made a TikTok today, like a TikTok story, because that's a thing now. And he was like, yo, guys, I'm streaming on YouTube. And also, I'm going to try to get on Hotline League if I get a good enough take. So,
well, then what is the take? I didn't even look at it. I just pulled him. I feel like sometimes you pull people, and then I take the heat for it. You know, like what is it, like 2 or 3 episodes ago, one of the pro players was on. They're like, I feel like these takes are not about the pro players being on. I was like, well, 2 of those weren't mine. I threw you right under that bus.
Where did you
Watch
write
you get
that?
run over. Reddit comments.
Dude, our Reddit threads for this show don't ever make it anywhere. So I'm not. You could say
Yeah,
whatever you want about
Reddit
me in
comments
those
are
threads.
always like, why do this show's takes are not good? And I'm like, well, I don't know what you want from me.
Yeah,
I'm trying.
I think we've got
really
some
am
really good
trying.
takes, especially lately.
Yeah, actually, I think the callers have had some really good ones.
Yeah.
Reddit sucks. That's the takeaway.
Yeah. All right. Anyway, Mark is pulling some folks. Also, if you are a sub, first off, thank you for being a sub. Please make sure that you sync your Discord with your Twitch so you can get access to the subtopics channel where things move a little slower and you have a bit of a better chance of getting on because it won't be cramped. Man, I really do feel like we've got way more people in the pleb and sub call. Maybe just whenever we don't have a pro player guest on, people are like, oh, I can just talk about anything. Because it is true.
Maybe.
It's live or open lines tonight. Isn't that what they used to say on radio before radio?
Open
died?
lines. Any topic goes except format ones because they're useless conversations.
Yeah.
Don't ever pitch me on a format unless we ask for it.
Dude, it was very funny, though, this weekend whenever I went to go. I'm saying this because Raz mentioned pro players need to learn geography is his take. When I went to go, when I approached any of the pro players for an interview, they were like, oh, God, is this going to be a geography thing? They're like, I'm not good at geography. It was just great. They're now living in
Everyone's
terror.
just like afraid to be interviewed by you now.
Yes. Well, I was talking to my video guy at the LCS, and I was like, yeah, if you have any ideas. He's like, I came up with some good ones, but the problem is you can't just make them all, like, look at how stupid pro players are. Because it is very fun to quiz them on real-life things, but the whole joke is they know nothing about real-life things. And if you do it enough, at some point in time, people are going to be like, wow, these guys are just dumb as a rock, you know? So,
I will say, like, yeah, I mean, closers, like, most of the people who didn't know anything have a pretty good reason to not know very much. Like,
yeah.
They're not from fucking America.
Okay. There's a couple moments in that thing where I'm like, I'm pretty surprised when I'm a little surprised people said Texas for Arizona when they were in Texas previously for finals, and I'm a little surprised that
I'll be honest, as someone who has gone to Europe recently, I couldn't tell you where I really was in Europe on a map if you just fucking blasted like a map at me.
Really?
You know?
You couldn't do... Okay, good. I need to do this with you. I need to be like, Mark, actually, you don't normally travel for international events. Because it would have been sick to just be like, all right, I'm going to quiz you on all the international places that you've actually been on the map. I could definitely identify Germany, for instance. It's not that bad.
I bet you couldn't.
Italy looks like a shoe.
Yeah, well, Italy's the fucking easiest one, but I bet you couldn't get Germany if you just fucking had the whole map of the...
I feel like
of
London,
the EU.
or the UK is the easiest one.
Maybe. All right, you want me to get a caller?
Yes, please. Dear God. Okay. Off Mark goes. Thank you to... Where are we? Got a bunch of subs. The Fish Gaming, Shamanium, America Vespucci, Alal's Beer Nut, So Many Things, Old Slice of Bologna, Retro Paint with the 1 year, Shiny Froky, and David is here. David, remind me how you pronounce your last name again?
Shy knock, like you're very shy and you're knocking on somebody's door.
Okay, thank you. For those that don't know, Mark, have you seen David's TikToks where he goes to, was it Washington Square Park?
Yep, right down by NYU.
And holds a sign and asks them about League of Legends and esports stuff, Mark?
Yeah, I saw that one.
Yeah. Well, there's a couple of them. It's a series he's doing. There's a new one as well. Anyway, you're from New York. That's what you're going to tell us, right, David?
Yes, sir.
Okay, calling from New York. What do you want to talk about on the show tonight?
This is the best regular season of LCS that we've had in the entirety of the franchise era.
Regular season?
Regular season, so not excluding playoffs, just like regular season, regular game or regular whatever you want to call them, regular season matches, best of ones prior to playoffs.
Are you a CLG fan?
I am not. I'm a 100 Thieves fan.
Really?
Well,
But you were
I
wearing
guess that makes sense.
TL stuff in that. I feel like I've mostly seen you in TL merch.
I am trying to get every single team's jersey for the sake of content. I currently have TL, FlyQuest, 100 Thieves, and then Optic, may they rest in peace.
There's probably a couple that you should try to get soon because I'm worried. I don't know how much longer some of these brands are going to be in the LCS. But okay, so anyway, so this is the best regular season, so not including playoffs. So we can't talk about spring playoffs or summer playoffs. Is that the rules here?
It's regular season, Travis.
Okay.
Come on.
And since franchising started, which was 2018.
Uh-huh.
Okay. So past 4 years. 2018, yeah. 5 years. Okay. Why is that, David?
I think this is arguably the most competitive that we've seen the top 5 teams in the LCS in a manner that's not typical to the last 2 or 3 years, where you'll see a lot of teams falling off in the final weeks. It feels like we're having more teams stepping up towards the end than we're seeing the latter. Obviously, FlyQuest, had kind of a down week this past week, but they're sitting on the outside relatively in 6th. C9 sitting at 5th as well, but with TL, CLG, 100 Thieves, and EG all sitting pretty respectably at the top. We have not seen this level of competition. I can't honestly think of when. On top of that, you have massive improvements to the LCS broadcast with all the new segments that are coming. The live in-game voice comms are phenomenal. All the content they've been putting out is great. We've just seen an overall ramp up of the broadcast, of the games, everything in regards to the regular season that we just have not seen since the franchise era began.
Okay. So I will let's do these first 2 things, and then I'll throw it over to Mark. One thing I was thinking about as you were saying this is something that I thought about this past weekend, and then again whenever Mark and I were talking at the start of the show about CLG and 100T and EG being at the top. If you screenshotted the current standings for the top 5 in the LCS, and you said this is 1 week before the last week of regular season, or going into the last week of regular season, and you sent it back in time by like a year or so, I think people would be shocked. Like it is fascinating to me that what we like. It's I almost I want to say like old guard is gone. It's all new guard, but like CLG is the old guard, but then they've stopped being the old guard for a while. I don't know how you want to describe it, but the fact that you have EG 100T and then CLG tied up with TL. Cloud9 in 5th and TSM off. Like I do think that it is a very new era in the LCS.
I was gonna say you don't even need to send it back a year, because if you send it back a year, anything can happen. Like maybe CLG balls out and spends all that money. You send it back 4 months is what I would do. Like middle of spring split, you would be on drugs if anyone told you that CLG makes one roster move and goes from like what were they 8th or 9th, into a 3rd. EG, who was at that point. They were like
they were very. It felt like they were not fulfilling the promise for almost all of spring. Yeah, spring regular season they were not impressive. So then they're 12-3. C9's falling off a cliff. Team Liquid's like still fine. 100 Thieves is good. You would believe that stuff. But yeah. So I think
you.
Oh, go ahead, Mark.
No, you go.
Don't sound so angry. I think that it is just very exciting because this kind of feels like. When it's funny because I think this actually might have long-term hurt LAC viewership, but I do think it was really exciting when like Mad Lions and what was it? Was it Rogue? Yeah. Super popped off one split, and all of a sudden they were like passing G2 and Fnatic, and I think that is really cool, and I do think the CLG redemption, and we'll see how long it progresses, but for now it feels very good, and the fact that the teams that are winning, like this was like the bigger thing too that I was thinking about this weekend. Look at EG 100T CLG. 100T is a core of like players from Golden Guardians sort of development roster a while ago that have been brought up, and obviously you have Abdagan someday there, but like that is not the let's go get Perks or bring Bjergsen out of retirement roster. You have CLG, which is just in any year I feel like you show people like this lineup of players on CLG and give them like, oh yeah, this guy was in academy, or yeah, this guy had like a short stint in 100T and Mark made fun of him on the broadcast and all that stuff. Like you would definitely be like, okay, these guys are going to be like 7th to 10th. And then you have EG, which has like Jojo and Danny and what the whole NA talent thing, like it's overly memed or whatever. Like I am starting to feel like it is no longer going to be just go hire the big imports or like the big names that have been the LCS long-standing veterans and then you win, which is kind of like
Do you know
some of these
who
other
you
teams
have
have
to
done.
thank for that, Travis? We had him on the show. You made fun of him.
Did I make fun of him? What, Greg Kim?
You made fun of Greg Kim.
I didn't
He
make
said-
fun. Kelby made fun
You
of him.
you made fun of him too. Kelby went the hardest, but the like, why should we believe in? I don't know if you remember this episode, but like right when
Of course I remember the episode. It was like the one that
no,
Kelby.
I'm saying to fans. I don't know if
okay.
fans remember this episode, but Greg King came on. I forget what his title was with EG. Right when like
He was
EG
like head of competitive.
head of something, whatever. And you know, he came in there and he was saying how great they're gonna be, and we were like, well, why should we believe in you? Like, what's EG gonna do different? He was like, we got a lot of smart people. We've just got so much good, intelligent people working on the team, and that was it. And Kelby was like, you can't just tell us that you're going to be smarter than everyone else because you hired smarter people. Sure enough, EG wins the championship. Greg Kim, fair enough, dipped out in the between splits to get hired over to CLG, and now CLG is pushing top 3.
There's a couple other people that I would give credit to. I want to spread it out too. I think Kelsey Moser.
No.
I think Kelsey Moser did a decent amount of good work whenever she was in a lot of these places, and she was at EG as they were building up this roster last year and working on like the more rookie development side. And then the other person who I think is worth mentioning is Jonathan Kamikaze Platypus. He's the GM at CLG, and he was at Golden Guardians and helped build some of their good programs as well. So I think there's like a small crew of people that had for a while been betting on NA talent and development and not rushing out and like grabbing, import talent and all that stuff, or at least not in the ways that some of the big teams were. And I feel like a lot of those individuals are starting to see the fruits of their labor pay off like
Peter
1 or
Dunn?
2 years later. Peter Dunn is good.
One Mr. Peter Dunn as well.
Sure.
Yeah, I think there's been a lot of people who been working away behind the scenes to make sure that they are invested in NA talent. The other thing I was going to say, to go back to David's original take about how this is one of the best splits, someone mentioned the soup split, and I think this is an interesting debate that we had in the dive a little bit, which is like, I actually think splits where everything, like parity is supposed to be a good thing, but I don't think having no clear narrative is a good thing. When it's like, I think it was legitimately 6 or 7 teams that were 11-5 for the soup split, it was just like, who the fuck knows what's happening? Do any of these teams actually look good? Like, I actually don't think that's best for the league. I think you want 2 teams who are legitimately really good. If you just have one, then it puts pressure on that team to be the one who wins. But if you have 2 teams, you can build up the narrative of like, all right, 100 Thieves versus EG, who's the best? And then you want a differentiation between your top half and your bottom half. And like Fly and C9 are kind of that, and then there's a massive drop to 7th so that you can say, hey, the teams in the top half of the league are legitimately good. Whereas if it's just like 1 game separation all the way down and everyone's beating everyone, it doesn't necessarily have that feel. So I think to David's point, there's been closer splits. There's been plenty of splits where like anyone can beat anyone, but I think this one's really good because I think 100 Thieves and EG are legitimately good. I think CLG has been very good, and I think that the top 6 teams all at least do some things well.
Well, I think the other thing that's been helpful too is to kind of your point, Mark. One thing that would happen in the past is you'd sometimes have, especially in recent years, you'd have the top teams just like randomly dropping games to like a mid-tier team or a bottom-tier team, and it just crashes your like narrative train when you're trying to be like, yeah, get excited for these guys, everybody tune in, and then they'll just like look like a bunch of idiots, like a bottom-tier team. And then you just start to be like, okay, well, I guess, they're still good. Best of ones, hashtag, like it's that I don't think has happened as much this time around. I mean, you can and then even with TL's 1-on-1 stuff, that has been an interesting storyline, given that this is like a super team, even if they don't want to call it that. I just think there's a lot of very fascinating stuff to talk about. And I like your take, David, because it is, I'm separating it from like, this is the best of time of franchising, or of regular season of franchising. I have recently become far more optimistic about the LCS. I ran into Yet Wen, who's a friend of mine who works at the broadcast, used to play for TSM way back in the day. I think he was. It was when I was talking to him, Mark. Whenever you walked out of the studio, he came by.
TSM Evo, not main roster TSM.
Yeah. I know, but TSM Evo wasn't a team of TSM. Anyway, the whole point is, it's a throwback, Mark. I didn't want to explain. Well, at one point in time, they had this other type of team. Anyway, and he was just like, "Yeah, you've gotten randomly very positive lately," and I'm like, no. The reason I'm getting positive is because I think the teams are just on their own generating pretty interesting storylines. I wouldn't say that maybe the marketing sides of those teams or the branding side, but just the way that the games have been going on, it is a very exciting split. And I do think, moving on to the second topic, David, that you brought up, I do think the broadcast has been doing a lot better. Now, you say the broadcast is gotten so much better, best of franchising ever. I would say broadcast probably back to where it was in 2018 to 2019, which I think was pretty good. I'm very excited because I feel like for a long time the broadcast stalled out. And we'd all go, the broadcast sucks, the broadcast sucks, the broadcast sucks, and then they'd still continue to suck. I think they are starting to stop sucking, and that has been what has gotten me excited.
Oh, dude, Travis, you really have gone so positive. They've started to stop sucking. We haven't even stopped sucking necessarily, but we've started to stop sucking.
Yeah, you're climbing out of the suck, and I've been happy for you guys. You're making some good decisions.
Same with TGI, dude. I feel like TGI sucked for so long.
I mean, I agree with you. It's been a tough couple of years. The content's gotten a lot better in the past couple of weeks. I think there's a difference between TGI and Riot Games in terms of scope and scale and productivity and access to players and all that stuff. So I'm not sure if it's a fair enough comparison, but I do agree that all of us are starting to get better, and I'm excited about it.
Raz in chat, Hotline League has sadly not started to stop sucking. I think when the COVID years hit, there were a lot of things going on all at once that combined to make the broadcast, and I have said this many times, not great. And so it's been a lot better, but I also think even to your point, comparing it to other years, I think would still be considered a good broadcast year actually in terms of a lot of the stuff that's going on.
Yeah, I
think it's just fun to tune in. I feel like right now, if you watch the LCS, and I know a lot of people tune out after the game ends or whatever, but if you don't tune out and you watch the analyst desk, I feel like most times something interesting will happen. A pro player will be on. There'll be a pro to pro. There'll be a good segment about something in particular or a funny thing. I feel like, yeah, the Evan line, you might have missed it, but for the people who didn't miss it, that's a new meme for them. Even the crowd is just yelling random shit after being gone for so long. I just feel like there's always something going on.
Mark, let me ask you then. Do you think that this is the best year of the broadcast out of 2018 to 2022?
Ooh.
Dude, especially because David positioned it as best year.
That is an easy answer for me.
Well, so 2018 is you're including 2018, right?
Yes.
Yeah, and I will say for full disclosure, I have watched every LCS countdown, every LCS post-game analysis into the 30 minutes after, barring the Bud Light League Lounge, since 2018. I mean, even in 2018, 2019, I watched it religiously anytime Optic was mentioned.
Dude, David's spring split broadcast this year was not that great. It was starting to get better, but they've made all their improvements in the summer, in my opinion.
Yeah, but how much do you judge something by the beginning of something rather than the totality of it?
You're judging it over all 5 years. You say this year. If you were to say this summer split is better than all the previous summer splits, then sure. But you can't say the best year of all 5 years and then be like, yeah, the past month's been great, bro. Let
me ask you this: are the highs ever as high if you don't have lows as well?
Okay, I'm gonna start doing this.
I'd rather start off where we were.
In the entertainment business, no. You know what? Some people just make good TV every fucking episode. You don't need to put out a stinker of an episode to enjoy. You know what I mean? That's a copium mango right
My
there,
favorite
David.
restaurants are the ones where I have a terrible fucking meal, and then the next time I go there, it's amazing.
If I don't get fucking pube in my burrito every once in a while, how can you truly appreciate the pubeless burritos?
All right. Anyway, Mark, you always got to go. You said extra put. Anyway, so no, Mark, I want to ask you this: do you think this is the best time the broadcast has existed?
Don't make me. I'm not going to answer this. You're just asking me
because you fucking know. You fucking know that it's not the best year. I rest my goddamn case.
I plead the fifth. You can't prove I said what you think I said. I plead the fifth.
Anyway, so I do look. I think here's what I will say, David. I think we are getting back to 2018 years of hype. I think in 2018 was the best year of LCS in a very, very long time, maybe ever. It was very exciting. You got all these new players in. There was like crazy storylines going into spring. Like 100 all the franchise teams were making hard pushes to make people care about them in a way that they don't right now. Broadcast was firing on all cylinders. Like, I just think that things were really good. And I that has been what I have sort of been thinking about for a long time. Was like I missed 2018, and I think we are getting there. And I'm very excited about the fact that Worlds is going to end, sort of cap off this year, because I think it could really help.
If you were to limit it to just single split, so just summer of 2022 versus, I would arguably say summer of 2018 was probably the best single season prior to this. Would you put it above?
Yeah, I think 2018 summer was better, but it's also really tough to tell. I mean, you're also looking at splits in these isolated ways. I feel like finals are like the most impactful moment of, a season, and so it's like weird to be like, let's just look at these like 8 or 9 weeks. It's tough. But yeah, I think it is a very good time, and I'm excited because look, the direction that part of the reason I've been so negative is because I love this show, I love the product, I love the sport, I love the space, and like it felt like it continually was trending down and nobody was making the changes that need to be made to get it to a better place. And I think that is starting to change. It is starting to stop sucking, and that is what I've been super positive about lately.
Travis, positivity started to stop sucking.
Yeah,
I can't wait for it to stop the starting of the sucking, and so that way it's just like,
stop sucking,
fully stop sucking.
Yeah.
And then I wonder.
I mean, that's how I've been waiting for that for a long time, Mark. Okay, I can't. You and me both, buddy. I can't wait for the broadcast to fully stop sucking. That is going to be the moment whenever things get really good with the LCS.
Yeah, dude.
Okay. Okay, David, thank you so much for the call. Anything you want to shout out?
Shout out to Alienware and all the sponsors of Hotline League. Shout out to everybody that went through with my promise of telling one friend to go watch LCS or try League of Legends. I would challenge you from now until the next time that I come on to talk to 2 people. Keep expanding it. Eventually, we'll continue to grow the LCS. And Riot, please open the League Partnership Program to TikTok content creators.
Did you see I recruited somebody in World of Warcraft? David?
I did.
Yeah.
I appreciate the tweet. Thank you.
I didn't do that, but I did tweet out a skin code, and it got
Mark
a lot of interaction.
Talk to other humans, so like that's part of the problem.
I could try and convince my Uber drivers driving me to the LCS in the morning, I guess.
Oh, God.
But my new game plan is to just start giving away all the shit that teams give me in Riot and stuff every LCS to make people want to hang out. Travis, you know our Grubhub cubes?
Yeah.
I'm going to give that away, I think.
Wow.
Is that going to get me in trouble?
Well, I'm glad we're having this discussion live on air on our Grubhub sponsored show. Well, actually,
I'm giving it to a fan who's going to enjoy it.
Well, no. I think you're fine. We were talking about, they have an extra one, and we were going to try to do some sort of actual formal giveaway on the show with it, and it, I think it has stuff in it. So, but yeah, we can. How are you going to give it away, Mark? Are you going to ship it to somebody?
No, fuck that. They have to be in the LCS parking lot for me to take it and hand it to them.
In the past, I think Riot has told me, I think they told me that I can't do like giveaways, especially of sponsored stuff. I'm sure if it's Grubhub, it's probably fine because they sponsor LCS. But yeah,
well, it's not a giveaway.
At the LCS.
It's not a giveaway. It's a donation drive, and it's kind of fucked up to be against charity like that. So I don't think that rule is going to apply.
Take it up with your employer. Anyway,
the employer contacted me about this, so I don't know what you're
David.
talking about.
We'll catch you next time.
Thank you so much.
Yeah. All right. Speaking of sponsors, let's take a quick break to talk about Alienware. Alienware sponsors this show, and we love them so much. I know I talked about this last week, but some of you guys might have missed it, so we're going to talk about it again. And I think that it's the type of thing where, like, if I don't talk about it all the time, then people forget about it. But the link, alienware.com/Travis, that has existed for eternity, it now, if you purchase something through that link from Alienware, and I'm pretty sure Broad or Dell, but let's just say Alienware for now because they sponsor me. A portion of that comes back to Travis Gafford Industries. That is very, very cool. We haven't ever had that historically with them. They've been very generous with the sponsorship, but this is a way in which they're continuing to be even more generous because they know that so many of you guys actually do purchase using usually my promo code. Not everybody always uses a link, so this is the way in which I'm really, really trying to make sure that people, in addition to trying the promo code, they go through that link, alienware.com/Travis. Then you know that a portion of whatever you purchase, maybe you're trying to justify upgrading from the 3070 to the 3080. At that point in time, maybe you're like, you know what? This is a nice thing to support my content creator, Travis Gafford. And so then you make the justification to yourself that you can go to the 3080. Look, everybody wins in this scenario. So anyway, please do me a favor and purchase your Alienware products through alienware.com/Travis. There's a link in the description below. I know there's also one in the Twitch chat if you're watching live, and doing so really does help. And I'm booking. Do you know Chicago is very expensive, guys? Hotels are very. I did not expect it to be as expensive hotel-wise. So thank you to Alienware for sponsoring the show, and we love to have their support. Mark, you want to go grab the next caller?
Yar.
Off he goes. Thank you to Shiny Froki, Hoppa, Frogman, Zushi, Yesterdog, Zemelkai, Nolan, Jobadiah, Perseus, Hung Step Bro, Prometheus, Moonfish, and Laxo. Thanks everybody for the subs. Very much appreciate it. It's been cool to also, there's just been, LCS has been packed lately too, so that's also been something that's been pretty fun. I feel like people are starting to stick around for longer. The broadcast has probably been doing good things to try to make sure that fans don't just show up for like one game. So, hello, Laserfruit is here. Laserfruit, where are you calling from?
I am calling from Ontario, Canada.
And you were on recently, right?
I was on for a couple weeks, and then I missed the Blippo episode.
Oh wow. Okay. Well, you're becoming one of our repeat callers, and
because he just spams topics and puts in
Yeah,
6 topics every week.
Well, if you I want to warn you.
Cracked the code.
Basically, YouTube comments and Reddit and sometimes Twitch chat hate repeat callers. I don't know why, but they're just
jelly.
They get very upset.
I in the Reddit threads, I interact with people about my call.
Oh really? Or are they critical?
Sometimes.
Wait, didn't you had a very hot take recently, right?
Let's focus on this one. We got a lot of people to go. We've only done one topic through an hour. We got 5 more people in the waiting room.
Laserfruit, when did you start playing League of Legends?
That's all the time we have. Thank you, Laserfruit. That was great. Thank you for joining us.
What do you want to talk about on the show tonight?
So this is more of a prediction, but I think 1 or 2 LCS teams will sell their spots in the offseason, and that Misfits will buy one of the spots.
I figured you'd like this one, Travis.
Yeah. It's very interesting timing.
This is a Travis one.
Okay, so wait. Let me ask you why you think this.
So we've had. So I'll just say specifically. I think GG is like my first guess. When
that would be a wrong guess, but go ahead.
The Warriors pulled a lot of funding out of the team when COVID hit, and they have they made playoffs since then? I don't remember if they've made playoffs, but they haven't really had a solid roster since then. And they've consistently been at the bottom of the standings, and I don't see a world where the Warriors start putting funding back into the team. And then I think my other guess would be Dig for similar reasons. They don't put a lot of funding into their team, and they're consistently getting really bad results. And I don't see why these teams would continue to stay in the league when they're not putting any resources into it.
Okay, and why the Misfits part?
So Misfits is most like their head office and stuff is in North America, like they're a North American owned team, but they were just operating in EU. So I think the reason why they sold their LEC spot is because they want to move everything over to NA and like operate in NA rather than having like offices in NA and in EU.
Okay, this is a very fun one. I'm glad you chose this Laserfruit this night to call in on this. Okay, couple of things here. So, one, the following statement is not a report. It has not been sourced by multiple. It is. Please do not take this out of context either. This is something that is sort of going through the grapevine right now, as it were. But there is a like very, very soft, spongy, malleable rumor that 1 to 2 teams in the LCS are potentially up for sale. I don't know who, and it's a rumor, so I don't even know. It's the type of thing where like sometimes that starts because maybe one team was fielding like a conversation with a potential buyer and it fell through, and then it's like out and about. But that is like an interesting thing. I think some of the sort of anonymous Twitter accounts and stuff like that have been circulating that in the past like week or two. So I would not be surprised if something like that ends up happening. Number 2, I don't think it would be Misfits that would do it, because Misfits. I had that same thought actually, Laserfruit. I had that same thought. And actually had it on Rift Reaction like the morning that we found out they were getting out of LEC. But I think what they have said publicly and or privately, the current understanding is that they're going full influencer, which is that not actually like that. I feel like that's actually a pretty smart decision, because I think esports teams are really tough. And when people first started building out esports teams, the whole idea was like, people will watch people play video games on these giant expensive leagues where you'll have to spend a ton of money. Now, like, there's so many streamers on Twitch and YouTube that you can just bring under your brand and sell stuff for, and it's a lot easier to retain those people, and you don't have to worry about the competitive side. There's a lot less infrastructure. So I think that like it makes a lot of sense, and that's why I would believe that Misfits might be going full into that. I also like, they've been around a long time. LCS is not in the best spot. I'm optimistic it will get to a better spot, but it would be a weird time for them to maybe purchase in. I think
that's fair.
Yeah. I don't think it would be Golden Guardians, because you mentioned that they're not putting money back into their investment, but they are currently, I think I mentioned this on last week's show or the week before, but I went and did a tour of their new facility, which, yes, it is not the like $500 bajillion facility that like TSM and 100 Thieves make YouTube thumbnails out of, but it is like a pretty substantial investment. It's like a custom build in terms of like they're going from like bare walls to actually building out spaces and all this stuff. It's not something you do if you're on the verge of selling your team. The only team you have in LCS. Yes.
That plus the River acquisition and some of the other changes doesn't speak to a team that's trying to limp towards the finish line.
Yes.
To get out of the league. So I don't think the Golden Guardian speculation is one that. Plus, Danon in chat said, "Haha, sweat."
Yeah. So. I don't know if that's. I don't know if that's. He could be sweating because he's.
Because we sniped him.
Yeah. He's like sitting there on the phone with, Mr. Beast, and is worried right now because we're onto him. So I think the 3 candidates I would look at are Dig, FlyQuest, and Immortals. I think they are the most ripe for something like this. FlyQuest is very high on my theory list because Trisha left, and then just now Ricky, who is their head of content, had been over there for a long time, also just left. And so I feel like they are a likely candidate. And then I just like Dig and Immortals. It's hard to feel like, I don't know. You just look at those guys and it kind of makes sense. That they would be likely candidates. So you were gonna say something, Laserfruit?
Oh no.
Oh.
That was all I had for.
I don't know, Mark. If you had to baselessly speculate,
If I was gonna baselessly speculate, I wouldn't have any actual like I've heard the rumors that you were talking about, Travis, but like no one's actually said anything substantial to me, so I'm like,
Yeah.
maybe someone sells, but whatever.
I do think whoever, like, it is very tight to the chest, I guess is how I'll put it, because stuff like this has happened before. But I know David, who just called in a second ago, is in the chat. He's made TikToks about how he wants Optic back. I just I don't know. I don't want to end up getting attacked by Hector or whatever. But like, I definitely would. I would be super annoyed if we're just gonna play this merry-go-round thing where it's like, okay, Immortals is out, Optic's in, okay, Optic's out, Immortals is in, okay, Immortals is out, Optic, like it's just
Dignitas is out, Dignitas is back in.
Yeah. It's like I really hope that we get like now's the time to try to do like Mr. Beast style deals and that type of stuff. Well, I much rather that.
Isn't Optic owned by Immortals right now?
I thought that they bought them back, or bought back the brand. It went back to their original folks. So,
I have no idea. I just know that originally, like, Immortals bought them.
Yeah, Hex bought it back. Yeah, they were owned by Immortals for a bit, and then, but yeah, Hector has it back now. So,
okay,
I don't know. Sciential says we've already been recycling players. Time to recycle all teams. Anyway, Laserfruit, thank you for the call. Anything you want to shout out before we go on to the next caller?
Shout out Alienware Grubhub. And to answer your question, I've been playing since like season 3. It's a long time.
Thank you. I'm just trying to make Mark sweat as he looks at the timer. All right. Anyway, I'll catch you next time.
All right. Bye.
Okay. Mark is gone to grab the next caller. We got Kempis, thank you for the prime. Oh, Parnell is here. Parnell, where are you calling from?
Fort Wayne, Indiana.
Had you called in previously as well?
No.
Okay, I've just seen your name, I think, in chat often.
Oh, I could have sworn you called in before. Wow.
Yeah.
No, I haven't. I
think he hangs out in your chat, right, Mark?
I've posted like takes, a few times before. But...
Anyway, Parnell, what do you want to talk about on the show?
Where is he calling from?
He's coming from Fort Wayne, Indiana.
Oh, he's
Okay. Anyway, what do you want to talk about?
My take is that Team Liquid and 100 Thieves missing Worlds would be the best thing to happen to NA this split for the future of LCS.
We already did this conversation, Mark. Why are you trying to run it back?
Because he threw 100 Thieves in there too.
Okay.
I defended 100 Thieves.
Here we go again. Okay. Why do you think that, Parnell?
Yeah. So it's not because of like fresh talent or because of like they spend too much money or anything. I think it has to do with the play styles that TL and 100 Thieves have had over the past couple seasons. Even with like different roster changes, they both play like pretty.
You're one of the Redditors that go into the post-match threads and say, "Oh my God, this CLG team is so good. I so hope they go to Worlds because TL and 100 Thieves are such a snooze fest. Fuck those boring teams. I want CLG."
TL is not slow in like the early game or anything, but they don't play very proactive mid-late game, and they don't really play with much of a purpose. Similarly with 100 Thieves, and I just feel like both of the orgs, like the last couple seasons, just season after season, they have had a very similar play style that really is just not good for like international play. And I think if both of these top orgs miss out on Worlds, it'll force them to kind of look at the style of play that they have, and kind of force them to play a little bit more aggressive potentially, like what EG is doing. And if these top orgs start playing more aggressive, I think it just is better for the league moving forward.
Okay.
Mark, I will say
blame game this shit right now. I'm curious because when I saw those comments in the Reddit threads, I was like, maybe this would be a good blame game.
I feel like a lot of people have this opinion. I think 100 Thieves. There was a period of time where this criticism would have landed better for me through like the first round robin, where some of their players individually weren't looking that great, and the wins they were getting felt kind of cookie cutter, where you just kind of outscale and let the other team kind of beat themselves. But I really don't think it holds up through the latter half of this kind of run that they're on. I think they're playing a lot more aggressively, and they also are willing to try different things out. Like the Lucian Nami, they have the best Lucian Nami in the league. Like they actually can blow people out, I would say. Closer's been good. Sumday's been good. Abadaga and Someday have actually secretly become the best 2 solo lanes in the league right now. If you look at their gameplay over the last 3 weeks in particular, Abadaga is like leading the league in a lot of stats for just that 3-week stretch. Not like you can just throw that out for like all pro voting or something like that, but I just mean in terms of current power level and how the team's playing the game. I think they've become a lot more aggressive. So that's why I'm still like down for Hundo Thundo. But for Team Liquid, I think the thing that you're saying that you're concerned about, like there's slow games when it's only like a 1 or 2K gold lead, and it's like, well, you can't just totally brute force the opponent down where they start to clam up. I think that's why their win over EG didn't like necessarily massage too many of the concerns away. Assuage. They didn't, because they just clapped so hard that they could do literally anything they want to win. And we've seen Nuclear Blippo a couple times where he's just 1v9. And like we know that they can do that. It's the other things that I still want to see out of them. And that's why I'm just a little hesitant. Like, funnily enough, the way that we talk about a lot of teams who are full of younger players doing well in the regular season, where you're like, I need to see them do it in the best of 5. That's actually how I am about Team Liquid as a super team that hasn't looked that dominant. I need to see you do it in the best of 5. You can blow out the #1 team in a 25-minute game, 26-minute game, whatever that was, where Bwipo just turbo stomps them. But like, I'm concerned more about how you play as a 5-man unit over a best of 5 that's close. And I think that's why, for me, I don't really. I mean, like, I don't have a problem with them going to Worlds if they qualify. I think that's something I will say as well. I like, there's this feeling that if they go, it's bad for the league, which I guess is the base of this take. I don't know. I mean, like, I do want to see CLG go just as like totally new guys, other than contracts. I don't think any of them would have gone before, and like they're so young, they're so scrappy and crazy that it would be really fun. But if they can't get it done in NA, I don't like. You know, I'm not one of those people who's like, we should have sent this team, which some people do.
I stand by what I said before, which is here I'll expand it out to this. I think you probably either want TL or C9 to go to Worlds if the other 2 teams are any of EG, 100 Thieves, or CLG. Because I think this Worlds is an opportunity to restore a lot of fandom to the league and to North America. And those iconic, recognizable names on TL and Cloud9, those brands are pretty big. I know there's going to be those pedantic people that come in and go like, well, CLG is like a long-standing... No. Okay? CLG haven't been relevant since like spring of, what was it, 2016?
I'm going to make a Reddit thread on their subreddit right now that
they already fucking
calls
hate me,
them unreddit.
They already hate me. It's fine. They have, like, it is very strange. The CLG subreddit has this thing where like
they even have a subreddit anymore?
Hard flamed. Yeah, they do. They hard flamed their team and org forever, and then now that they're doing pretty good, they like to pretend that like the last 5 years didn't happen. But yeah, I think sending. I'm fine sending CLG, but I think you probably want to send either a TL or Cloud9 alongside them. So I know it's kind of like a little bit of a spin on your take with 100T TL Parnell, but I don't know. I think you need to have something that's a little bit more recognizable, maybe is the best way to put it. So
yeah, I mean, like,
that's my hope.
Team Liquid, I agree with you, Mark. To like the last game when they beat EG, they basically were able to like generate such a big lead just because Bwipo got kind of randomly fed, and they did some things to like kind of get there. But I'm definitely not sold on them. I'm actually less sold on 100 Thieves though, because I feel like TL at least plays like somewhat, at least like play with more of a purpose in the early game. I mean, 100 Thieves does too, but I just feel like with 100 Thieves, they kind of just like have a very much of a play to not lose play style. I feel like more than play to win. And I remember like one game they played against like a bottom tier team. It was like lasted like 35 minutes, and they could have closed it out like probably like 15 minutes sooner. But they just like played really cautious. They made sure they made no mistakes. Very like methodical, and I hate that. I absolutely hate that, and I do not think that can translate to like international play unless you're just like really, really good at it. And I don't think any team in LCS is like that good at that really slow. We're only going for 70-30 plays. We're not going for any 60-40s or 50-50s. That's how I feel.
Quick aside, I had Scaff in the chat say that I simp too much for the old teams too much. I have been very excited, especially about EG this year, and so it's a very strange statement to say, but I have seen this like in other places too. Whenever I talk about why I think it'd be good for TL to go, I don't simp for the old teams too much. Fans simp for the old teams too much, and I want the fans to tune up for whatever for Worlds, and so that's why I think it's important to have some of the long-standing, more popular faces there. Parnell, thanks so much for your take. Anything you want to say before we say goodbye?
Yeah, shout out my Twitch, YouTube, and Twitter. It's ParnellEX. I play Warwick mid, high elo.
Good luck. Okay.
Yep.
Catch you later.
You.
Why?
Just cause.
Okay, let's go. Okay, Mark's off to grab the next caller. Thank you to Devo for the sub. I appreciate it. Yeah, Warwick mid. People are excited about that. Let's see. Twitch chat. Fans will turn out either way for Worlds because we'll go see Faker and Jankos and whatever. A lot of North American fans don't even know who Jankos is. I love Jankos, but like, I don't know. This is a constant issue with the Hotline League viewership, which is that you guys think you represent the casual fans, and I love all of you. You're so hardcore that you're watching this on a Monday night, but you do not represent the casual fans. Fez is here. Fez, where are you calling from?
I am calling from Alabama.
Alabama. What do you want to talk about on the show?
What I want to talk about is I think that TL is peaking at the right moment and that they will not lose a single game all the way to the LCS championship.
Woo. Okay. Well, this is a spit on the last take. Okay. This is very funny because I feel like a lot of people were like, "Oh yeah, 100 Thieves usually sucks at the beginning, and that's because they don't care because it's the beginning, and then they start to get good, and then they're peaking." Now it's just a race to see who could peak the latest. It's like now TL is peaking. EG peaked really, really late in spring. They were peaking at the best time, and maybe now they won't peak as well. Who still has a chance to peak? There's some. Let's see who can peak the hardest. Fez, what do you want?
TSM could peak really hard.
Dude, I'm peaking so hard right now. Okay, Fez.
Peaking.
Fez, what do you want? Do you want to explain why you feel this way about TL?
So I really think that if the comms things has to do with this too, like the broadcast was showing. But if you listen to like their earlier comms that they had during the first part of the season, there was a lot of chatter, especially from Bjergsen, and like it just seemed like it was a big cluster. And now it seems more, even though Santorin and Bubba were getting the main lead Sunday, it sounded like they were taking the charge of the calls in the team. And of course, Core JJ was throwing his 2 cents in there. But I think there were too many cooks in the kitchen. And I think they finally figured out who's going to be the boss is going to be who's actually leading in the game, which I think is the right philosophy.
So for what it's worth, this got 3 hangups in the Discord, which has spurred me to pull it because everyone reacts very negatively.
I think it's so funny that I made these emotes for Twitch chat for people to spam in chat, and I feel like
they got one more as I said that.
Those people just hate TL. They want to see them fail so bad. And, and there's so many Copium CLG people right now that they just want to see TL fail. That's the main thing. They want to see Steve cry on his pile of $100 bills or millions of dollars.
Well, what's funny is Team Liquid became the most hated team kind of out of nowhere, huh?
By the way, I still think TSM is the most hated team. I just think people don't have anything to hate Odd at the moment with TSM, so they're just...
Well, I think people might not like Reggie or might not like the fan base or the org, but I don't think anyone has a problem with like the team. Like I don't think if TSM did well, people would be upset. But I feel like usually when people start hating a team, it's like one of two reasons. Like, there's a player on it that they particularly don't like, or it's like the fan base gets really obnoxious and it makes other fans turn against them. And I don't really, maybe that has happened with TL and I just don't see it, but it feels more like the entire philosophy behind Team Liquid is why people hate it.
All right, there's a poll up in the chat. Which team do you hate the most? TSM, TLC, 900 to EG. And we'll see how it goes. But
Why
it's in
can't
the
I
Twitch
vote
chat.
with my bits?
Because I felt like you would disqualify it if somebody spammed a bunch of bits and points. But Mark, over 50% right now are TSM haters.
I guess TSM is much more hated than I gave credit to.
You cannot, even if you combine everyone else, they still don't match the TSM hatred.
Dr. Positive in chat, hey, we suck at everything else. Don't take most hated away from us too now, Sag. Okay, I stand corrected.
Yeah. Okay. Anyway, so on the topic of TL though, so it's very funny because they go 1-1 and 1-1 and 1-1 and 1-1 and then they have a 2-0 weekend and all of a sudden they're peaking. But Mark, do you think, from what you saw this weekend, do you think TL has solved their issues?
No, I mean, like I said this a fair amount. I don't want to go too hard on this topic. It was more just to get the other side of it from a TL fan, obviously. I like I said it before. I need to see it more consistently. Just because you blow one, you have your first 2 a weekend, you blow a top team out of the water, doesn't mean that you fix the things that were holding them back. So, still say that.
I think. Oh, go ahead. Fez.
No, I was gonna say that also their video that they came out, the squad or whatever, gave a lot of context to their problems, in my opinion, and like added to my take of like too many cooks in the kitchen, because there was just, you could just tell there was just utter confusion on who should be making calls, who should be doing what. It's almost like it confused them how to play, in a sense.
It's almost like this was my take on what that team was going to be at the end of last year whenever it was being built, and then everybody called me an idiot. Anyway, the reason why I discount that, Fez, is because this team came back from Korean boot camp at the start of summer, and they were looking good, and they were like, we fixed all of our problems, everything's good, we figured out what our issues were, et cetera, et cetera. And so anytime a team starts to say that and it's not like sustained, I am normally skeptical, is I guess the way that I would put it. But I don't know. I think the thing that I'm most interested in is what this team is going to look like in a best of 5. I know Mark kind of said it too, but like that is where I'm more confident in TL, and their experience winning out. And so I do feel like I would be surprised if they busted out early in playoffs. Let's put it that way. That's kind of how I feel about it. But I don't know, Fez. We'll see if TL can keep peaking. But anything you want to shout out before we go on to a quick break?
I definitely want to shout out the broadcast. They've definitely picked it up during this latter part of the summer, I think.
Would you say they've started to stop sucking?
Say what? I'm sorry.
Never mind. Thanks so much for the call, Fez.
Thank you.
I will catch you next time.
Take care.
Mark, did you face palm because you knew I was about to make that joke, or did you just see something in chat?
Something else. Just try. I don't even know what you said.
Wow. Okay. Great timing. Glad you're already paying attention.
I'm here.
All right.
I'm participating.
Let's talk about Grubhub. Folks, we have a Grubhub code for you this week. Grubhub codes are back for August. ! Grubhub in the chat will get you your link. You can also, or your promo code, I should say. You can also, if you're watching on YouTube, grab that link out of the description and get the code there as well. From August 8th to August 14th, so 8th as we're recording this all the way through for the 14th, use code TG, as in Travis Gafford, off 10, TG off 10 to receive, oh, there's a typo there, I think. $10 off your order of $25 or more. I need to adjust that. But yes, that is the code for this week. I'm pulling it up just to make sure that there's not something funky with that, because I just read it for the first time. Yes. Okay, actually, I think it's... Oh, yeah, TG5 off... Yeah, TG5 off 10 to receive $5 off your order of $10. I'm fixing it. I think that our mod got kind of strange there. Our stream elements thing. So I'm fixing it right now. But Sorry for the confusion. It is, again, TG5 off 10 to get $5 off your order of $10 plus. So thank you to Grubhub for sponsoring the show. That's August 8th to the 14th. It is deliveries only, but I know you guys like to get food delivered anyway. You're gaming. You're not going to go pick that up. So thank you so much to Grubhub for sponsoring the show. We should hopefully have some more info from them soon on maybe some cool stuff we can do in the future that some of you guys have been asking about that I can't talk about yet. Also, please go check out Dinner With, which is the long-form interview series I did with Kobe. The first episode is out now. It is, as I said with Kobe, it's really good. It's one of the first things that we've been able to do in a while at TGI where we can do something really fancy. And please go check it out because I think you will really like it. That's our Grubhub moment. Mark, you want to go grab the next caller?
Yeah.
Did he pull somebody else? I feel like we've got so many people. Okay, Rennie the Croc, thank you for the Prime. Oh my God, Joseph Joestar, thank you for the 16 months. And Nolan 510, who are you? Because just as I was saying that, Nolan 510 showed up and gifted 50 subs in the chat. And unfortunately, the fifth one you gifted went to Raz, which is very disappointing. But Nolan hasn't been here since October of 2020, and then all of a sudden they show up and drop 50 in the chat. That's
Hello.
insane. So thank you. Hi, Mark.
Hi.
I'm sorry, Mark. Did you need something?
Yeah, we have a guy here.
Okay. Thank you for letting me know. Kmart is here. Kmart, I'm sorry to hear about the bankruptcy, but where are you calling from?
I am calling from Arizona.
Arizona. What do you want to talk about? Oh, is that Texas? What do you want to talk about?
No. It's, so my take was that C9 has shot themselves in the foot this year, and in doing so, as a longtime C9 fan, this is like the first time I'm not really cheering for them since I started watching League. This year has been, in my opinion, a complete disaster for them. So yeah, I think the whole going with LS at the beginning of the year, that's some hype right there. I think.
I was going to ask.
Good ideas.
How many hours of LS do you consume on average?
Not too much, actually. No, I used to watch him a little bit more, but I don't actually watch him too much anymore. But I thought that, you build a team around this guy, right? It doesn't matter if you like him or not, right? I think they built their team around him and then hired him in week 4, right? And then blow up the team for summer, right? And now you've got a basically new team with not as much experience as like all the rest. They made the most changes in summer, and I think it's just with perks, with LS, with all that, it's just kind of made me, I don't know, not have confidence in their systems, kind of thing. So, yeah,
the good old systems. Okay, so you're just not rooting for them because you're frustrated with the changes they've made.
Pretty much, yeah. I've been more just watching the league for as fun because I like watching league, and yeah, I've been cheering for EG a bit, CLG a bit.
Would you root for C9 if they go to Worlds, and would you feel better about?
Yeah, I mean, I still support them, but it's not like this is like the first time where I'm not like really closely following the team, trying to watch every single one of their games and stuff like that. I'm just kind of, it's like, I don't care too much for them.
My question is about so some of the org decisions you didn't like, but what about the players? Were you just never too big of a fan of Blabber or Sven or Fudge, who have now been here for a couple of years, each of them, even if Jensen came back? I don't know if you were there for the Jensen years.
I was there. I've been there since the OG C9 with High, Meteor, Sneaky. So I've been through iterations of the team. I like Blabber. I think he's fine, but Jensen, it's not he doesn't exactly inspire confidence. It feels like going back to what they were doing, and it's like kind of too late. It feels like to me. I don't know. Fudge, he's good, but he's been role swapping from top to mid. Sven I like, but he's also role swapping to support. Berserker's good. I mean, the team. I don't mind the team. I like the players, but I just don't have confidence in them, I guess, as a fan.
Interesting. It's always interesting to me to get inside the mind of a fan and what pushes you away towards a team, or because I think Travis and I are always like, oh, it's the players that people are going to connect with, but you were a C9 fan driven away by systems.
Yeah, it's like it just feels like they try and choose a direction and then don't stick with it, and it feels like it doesn't go anywhere to me. It's like you keep starting over. It's like stick with something kind of thing.
I mean, do you not feel like
though.
that is the vast majority of the LCS teams historically?
It is. I think it is, and I think before these past, like, I don't know, 2 or 3 years, C9 was the exception to that, and that's kind of what I liked about them. They were pretty good about keeping kind of core players together. You know, you had Sneaky for a long time, then it's been Blabber and stuff. It's like they've been good about that, but then they swung for the fences with Perks, that didn't work out. Then they swung for the fences again with LS, that didn't work out. It feels like they got away from what was working, at least domestically. I mean, they were our best team at Worlds kind of thing.
You know what? I like this take. Kmart, I like your take because
Thank you.
I think at some point in time, C9 and Jack got caught up in the rat race of like, oh, we have to have these really big signings, right? Like Steve started this stuff a while ago, and then I feel like TSM and C9 both kind of got into it. And historically, TSM or C9 was really good at two things. They were really good at bringing up like native talent like Blabber, and then they were really good at taking and rehabilitating TSM's talent. After TSM suppression machine or whatever you want to call it, but that was how they were making their rosters, and they were always kind of able to build something out of that. And then I think the last 2 years have not been doing that, and I can understand actually why that would be disappointing to you, because they did sort of start to become like one of the many top teams that were just sort of following that same game plan rather than like trying to build this like scrappy team where, you know, suddenly Zazel's on the team right before Worlds and they're going and they're up, you know, popping off in 2018 and stuff like that.
What really made me a big C9 fan was the initial like miracle run to Worlds with I think High playing jungle in
fuck that.
I don't remember that year. Oh yeah, sorry, I know. Liquid, but you know, that was a really hyped series. I mean, it was like, oh my god, this team, like, you know, I had been following them. It's like, oh, this team is not doing well. And they had this big run kind of thing, and that felt really good, you know, as a fan, and that really made me support them. And then it's like they've gotten a lot away from that, it feels like, and it doesn't.
Travis, you might be able to help me with this. What was the last big signing that they did before Summit?
Perks?
Perks probably.
Oh, sorry, I'm before Perks, because the last 2 years it was Perks and then Summit.
I mean, Vulcan depends on how you define Vulcan. They paid a ton of money for Vulcan, right? From Clutch/Dig.
But he wasn't like a brand name at that point. Like, you know, he was I think someone.
I don't think anyone really, like, some people in chat are saying Niski, some people are saying Sven. They bought.
Those are really big names.
I don't think.
But to your point, they were like free in the ecosystem and they signed them. It wasn't like they like brought in this huge name. Like Sven, like you said, left TSM. Niski, he wasn't a big name at all when he left. Fucking. Yeah.
Vulcan in chat says
17 times his salary.
Yeah, Vulcan in chat says they paid approximately 17 times my salary.
And then they let him go, and it's like, what the hell? Like, come on, like. You're telling me that a Berserker Vulcan bot lane wouldn't be smashing the league? I mean, come on.
I mean, it's hard to say how much of that was, you know, I guess some people could say, well, maybe Vulcan wanted to leave or whatever. There was definitely some scuttlebutt. I feel like that Vulcan and Sven didn't want to keep playing together, and Vulcan will mysteriously get quiet in the chat right now. But I do think that I think it is a really good point that before Perks they had never really done one of these crazy signings, and they had done a lot of like Niski was a big name kind of, but not really when they signed him.
There were a lot of people that were like respected players that they would bring in and seem to get more out of than other teams.
Yeah,
Sven's. You know, even some of these players had high peaks, but like hadn't had them recently. Sven Scare, an example, like he
Licorice looked amazing on them.
Licorice was brought up though. Same with Blabber.
Yeah,
same
yeah.
with Zazel. There were a lot of players that they also just brought up
Yeah,
themselves.
it was the combination of like rehabilitating older players and bringing up good NA talent kind of thing, and that's what felt.
Yeah, like
Good to me.
Impact was good, but he was playing on like tip and shit, you know. Like
Yeah,
he,
yeah.
they didn't bring him over immediately
Like,
after a world
T9
championship.
was
He was
Impact's
in North
first
America.
big team. It felt like.
Yeah, so I think I would recontextualize your take as being like you are set like it's tough to be a C9 fan because you feel like they lost their playbook for like roster building.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
they had kind of they did because I remember we used to praise them on Hotline League for being the team that like found NA talent and brought it up and did all
Oh
these
my
things.
god. Sorry, I just have to pop off a Twitch chat. Yes, they signed people who exist in the ecosystem. We're not saying like fucking they didn't like they just invented players out of nowhere. We're saying they didn't bring that many like huge names over. Rush was already in North America. Ray was already in North America. They did not go out and like scout these players and throw their wallet at them to get them over from
This is
whatever
the
league they were domestically in. That is the point that we're saying.
This is how it goes, Mark. If you say, well, they didn't do this, people will reach into the farthest distances far away to try to be like, well, what about this? That's the classic. Anyway.
Jensen was banned. He wasn't even playing.
They're just trolling you right now.
It's
They're just
not-
trolling you
it's
right
like
now.
lesser known
Optic was
quantities
there,
instead
or
of
no?
trying to sign, like,
It wasn't Optic. What was the team that they bought? That High had built with Livid.
It was Cloud9.
No,
What do you
it
mean?
was called something
Didn't
else
they make
before.
FlyQuest?
I
It was the
forget
original
what
FlyQuest, weren't they?
Began
Weren't
with
they
an O.
called Azure Cats and they lost?
No,
their
that's a
original
GG thing.
play-ins?
No, that's
Okay,
the GG
maybe.
thing. They were
Yeah, they
were
had
called.
another
It began
name
with an
before
O. It wasn't
Cloud9.
Optic, but it sounded like it. So, wow,
Yeah, yeah.
Twitch chat also doesn't know, so I'm feeling fine.
Quantic. It was Quantic.
Was it Quantic?
Yeah.
Okay. I
Yeah, it was
thought
Quantic.
Orbit. It was Orbit. Thank you,
Was it
Meister
Orbit?
Chief.
Weren't
Yes,
they
it was
also
Orbit.
Quantic?
Anyway, whatever.
I don't know. Whatever.
LCS 10, by the way. Okay, so I think this is a good take, and I think it is a fair one, and like they don't, yeah, like they lost their way, I think, a little bit with the perk signing, and I hope that they can make it back, and I actually do think that will probably end up happening at some point in time. So we'll see. I'm hopeful that if things don't go well this split, that they're going to go back to sort of the way.
Yeah, and I think that to add on, I think this summer split was better. They started going back to that, but I would have liked to see, like, if you're going to kind of rebuild your roster, bring up someone like Copy, who's killing it in Academy for the most part in mid lane, instead of like a Jensen. I know you guys want to try and make worlds, but it's like if you're rebuilding the roster, go with someone younger. I don't know.
Yeah. All right. Anyway, thank you so much, Kmart, for the call. Anything that you want to shout out before we go on to the
Yeah,
next caller?
I like your guys' Genshin streams. I like playing Genshin. I've been playing that since almost launch. I shout out the show players. That was really good. I did not think I'd enjoy it as much as I did. So yeah.
Great
Cool.
taste.
Yeah. Thanks so
Yep.
much. Catch you next
Thank
time.
you guys.
Man just needs to read Brandon Sanderson now. Okay. Off Mark goes. Thank you to Naked Homeless Man for the 54 months. It's actually insane. It's so insane sometimes I think about how many of you guys have subbed for so long. It's like, it's wild. Okay. Anyway, thank you again to Nolan for the 50 community subs. Pugsley is here. Pugsley, where are you calling from?
Portland, Oregon.
Portland, Oregon. What do you want to talk about on the show?
Yeah, my take is that EG's biggest weakness was exposed yesterday.
EG's biggest weakness was exposed yesterday. Playing
Say
from
his
home?
name.
Yeah.
Oh.
So I the best way to put this is that they are so reliant on Impact playing weak side that when the other team actually executes and has good dives, and can manipulate, like, he can't play from so far behind, right? And he was almost playing yesterday as if, like, no matter what his deficit was, he was gonna fight. And it's almost like a Summit type weakness, and that it's so reliant on one play style. He's their stability, and they play around him essentially. No matter what, he plays really 3 champs: Gwyn, Gangplank, and Gnar, and he's really good. It's not easy to expose his weakness to someone like Summit, because his whole role and the purpose of him is to beast ability, so he's going to make it difficult for you to execute on dives. But if you actually get the counter pick and put resources and effectively have roams, TL's a team that can execute. They have a high ceiling, so they played really well yesterday. But EG, it was like they just imploded. Someone needed to make the call and be like, this is the game state. We're going to play a long game. And they just kept dying and dying. And they're still great in the LCS. It's just like, this is a formula to beat them. If you put Impact so far behind, they don't know how to respond to that. And that's how I feel.
Is Impact their weakness, Mark?
Why do we have to limit it to just one weakness? This whole team is fraudulent.
Oh boy, okay.
Fair.
This man's really trying to get the 100T fans tonight. That's what I realized.
I just see there's a lot of EG people in chat, and I can't not do it. I don't agree at all with this take. Impact, like you said, he is kind of weak side in champion pool, but he's actually second highest in the league in top jungle proximity. He does actually play around with Inspired more than you might think, just by his champion pool. I mean, some of it is covering dives and stuff like that's technically top jungle proximity. There's probably really high top jungle proximity from that game. It was just them fucking getting double killed over and over again or whatever. But I don't think he is a liability at all. I think there's been a lot of games where teams have focused him as well, and he's come back. There was a game where he was like, I think it was EG last year, he was like 0-6 and just got put in the dumpster, and then EG won that game, and he was actually still finding like big team fights on Gnar. I think I'm not at all concerned about Impact. I think he can get exploded in lane. He's actually relatively aggressive as a player, even when he's playing weak side. He's not like usually not hugging his turret or anything like that. So he can get exploited, but I think he, especially in playoffs and stuff like that, does a much better job of recovering. He is a player who historically has a bit of a reputation for slumping regular seasons and doing very well in postseason. I don't even think this is one of the splits he's slumping in the regular season, but I would not look at like, they've lost 3 games all year, and this is, maybe I'm mistaken, I'd have to look at the other 2 losses, but or not all year, excuse me, all split. Of the 3 losses, is there another one where Impact got like boomed and that's how they lost? Is there even a trend here to say this?
No, I actually agree with everything you're saying. But basically what I would say is that there's a threshold at which if he gets behind too early, because that's exactly right, that's his role, is to play from behind. But when there's a level of such early game execution and dominance in executing those 2v2 kills, you're right, there's been times where he has been, and I love Impact, he's wonderful, he's great, but if you're going to focus on a formula to beat this team, especially in a best of 5, I really think executing and like they're the best. I mean, up until yesterday, now they're tied. They're the best team coming off an MSI semifinal, and I think that just speaks to their dominance and his strength. But there is a formula to beat them, and in an A, and it just comes down to executing, putting him so far behind, like to the point where he can't do what he's asked to do, which is play from behind and have those good team fights. There's a point at which and you could say this about any player when they're put so far behind, the game's lost, right? Like if you dive anybody, but when he can't do his fundamental role, you could have replaced the nameplates and teams, and I would have thought they were playing Dignitas. If I was honest, they imploded. They had no idea what to do.
Do we know who had COVID on EG?
I think Inspired. He was in a different room.
Okay.
I think it was.
I mean, I don't really, I definitely don't think I agree with this. Like, to put someone down that far is not like necessarily a repeatable thing. Because even if you get counterpicked, you're not necessarily going to fucking get like 4 kills, turn 2v1 ganks. You know, like if your game plan for beating EG is like your top laner literally needs to 1v9 the game, then like that's still a pretty hard win con to the point that I don't know if you could call it getting exposed. It's really hard to do that. I think a better win con is to like fuck up Inspired's time, because not only was Impact getting shit on, but Inspired kept going top to try and cover that lane or recover it, and it just kept getting turned on him. And he got, I wouldn't say he got shit on, but like every play he went for didn't work. And he's kind of the I think a lot of people's MVP. He's, I think, the engine for a lot of EG. And like basically top lane turned to a black hole. He got sucked into it and couldn't do anything else. So if I was going to say like which of the game plan mattered more, Impact getting shut out or Inspired getting shut out, I think Inspired getting shut out is actually more of a problem for the team when Inspired can get shut down. But again, it's not like it's a blueprint like, oh, just get a counter pick, get a dive in the top lane 2v1, then 1v2 a gank, and like, you know, like I just don't think it's I don't think it's necessarily repeatable, I guess is what I say, which doesn't really make it a blueprint to me.
Yeah, I would say that I think Inspired played a lot of that way. As what I was saying is they didn't know what to do as a team. Like, recognize the game state, recognize, especially, honestly, after that first dive where they two died, and just played extraordinarily safe from there, and they didn't recognize what to do because he got behind so early. But
I disagree. Well, so the other thing is you're getting outscaled. Your Sivir Azir that you fucking got slapped in, your Zyra, Rakan, Sylas, Wukong, Gwen, like you're very short range into this enemy team that has pretty crazy late game DPS. So I think that they just kept inting into TL because they knew that they would get outscaled as well. They can't sit back and do nothing. So I think that they just kind of ran it. I think EG was in a regular season game where their top lane got fucking destroyed, their jungler was destroyed, and they're like, let's go next fast. Just kept going for plays, and they hoped that they could win one of these fights.
Pugsley, we will see over the next couple of weeks if more people agree with you and figure out how to just destroy Impact and then win the game. But I appreciate the call. Anything that you want to say before we go on to our next caller?
Yeah, no, I just want to shout out the whole League community. I really love this game. I'm really passionate and enthusiastic about it, so I love all you guys. And shout out to Better Call Saul. Recommend to watch it. The penultimate episode's tonight, so check it out.
Thank you so much for the call, and we'll catch you next time.
Yeah, thanks. Bye.
All right, Mark.
Do you have a read? Are we good? Do we have more
what
reads?
read would we have, Mark?
Oh, we already did Grubhub, didn't we? Huh?
Are you here tonight? Okay, shout out to Big Angry Hobo for 50 months, 50. Thank you. That is crazy. It's so cool whenever people hit that number. That's really, I'm honored. Numi Goes Raw has also gifted a sub. Thank you, Numi, for hanging out. And thanks for being such a good mod. Seth is here. Seth, where are you calling from?
I'm calling from suburban Chicago, Illinois.
From Chicago, Illinois. You're a little quiet. And I think you were last time, too, because I already had you at 200%. So if you can get a little closer to your microphone.
Can you hear me now?
Yes. I think you told me that you were going to go to finals when you called in before.
I did not say that because finals were not announced. But
wow.
No, I was going to Worlds.
Okay.
Finals. Finals, I'm gonna definitely at least try because it's 40 minutes away from where I live. So
yeah. Well, tickets are going, so make sure you grab one if you're gonna go. What do you want to talk about on the show?
My take is the fact that Immortals are the only org in the bottom four that is not rebuilding, and trying for next year on some level is kind of troll. And to elaborate on this, if I can, I just wanted to TSM, despite the fact they haven't public announced it too much, I feel like even if the team itself is doing it, the org is more or less in a mindset of rebuilding. Dignitas, of course, are rebuilding. I believe I read somewhere that Golden Guardians is rebuilding. That's why they got River a little bit. And Immortals seems like the only one that goes, you know what, screw it. We're still gonna go try for Worlds. We're gonna try for playoffs. We're gonna keep doing it because we have it. And I know a lot of analysts say they have improved drastically to some extent. I feel like they should still. In fact, they haven't at least put a couple players in from Academy. It just seems a little troll to me. Like that one Immortals fan from 4 weeks ago, the same one who was right before I was on the call. I feel like, but yeah, I think the Immortals should rebuild on some level and get ready for next split. So I don't know what you guys think about that.
Is Dig rebuilding?
I don't think so. I mean, well, I guess Dig is technically rebuilding. I guess hunting your season and putting in rookies it's not a rebuild, but it is obviously a little bit more looking towards the future.
Well, I guess
Yeah.
what you consider as a rebuild, I kind of do, but that's just me.
I mean, I would argue that the Kenvi stuff was as much of a looking towards the future as Diggs was. So I don't know if I agree that like they're punting it. They're probably going to go to playoffs, right?
No, I mean it kind of depends. The bottom 4 teams are all kind of up in the air. Dignitas is the least likely because they're a game back.
Yeah.
TSM's most likely because they're a game ahead, and then Golden Guardians and Immortals are tied. And Immortals has a pretty tough strength of schedule, so I don't know.
Do
I
we
would
know?
like to see Dig in playoffs just because they have 3 rookies on their team, and I wanted to see them get more playoff experience. But that's just me.
I mean, Golden Guardians plays EG and TL this coming week, so
Yeah, but they
Immortals
played
plays
Dig.
C9, yeah, and Dig. Immortals plays C9, FlyQuest, and CLG. So I would give it to Immortals in that scenario.
I mean, the other thing too is I don't think Golden Guardians is rebuilding for the future. They very much said that the River purchase was a playoff push. Like
Yeah, but they also said he was going to be signed for a very long time, and like that was part of the reason they wanted to do it.
Yeah, but I mean, it does feel like Golden Guardians did this to immediately get better, and they're on like a 6-game losing streak, and then immediately afterwards they swapped in Prismal, but they just sold Chime.
Oh yeah, no, I agree. They're crazy right now, but
the whole thing seems really troll to me with what's going on with Golden Guardians. So like Immortals is largely just sticking with the pieces that they invest in at the start of the split. And to your point, Travis, like Kenvi's young, Revenge is not like super young anymore, but like still obviously in the earlier part of his career. And it's like hard to make moves, like it's not always that easy. So I don't know. Does slapping in your academy roster necessarily help? I don't know. I guess what I'm saying is, compared to the moves that the other teams in the bottom of the standings have made, I don't feel like Immortals just kind of keeping a steady ship is one that I dislike when everyone else has just been like throwing shit at the wall. Even TSM to that point, has like made so many swaps.
yeah.
I actually don't hate what you're saying either, because like that, when I was made that take, I was thinking Immortals in the back of my head. Staying a steady ship actually is not a terrible route either, because that's why I said kind of troll. Because I feel like there's somewhat of an argument that like by staying steady and just rebuilding at the start of the next split and having rookies at the next split gives them a fresher opportunity than a doomed opportunity, because they're not starting out the Titanic or anything like they are in Dig. So I feel like that is a somewhat argument, but I still ultimately think that you should at least try something. And by staying a steady ship when you're likely not going to make you're likely not going to win more than one playoff series, if that. I just feel like you should at least try something, in my opinion.
Here's a thought. Not to send us too much of on a tangent, but like, what should Immortals be trying to do? Do we think that like they can rebuild for next year and be super competitive? Like, they don't ever want to spend the money that the top teams want to spend on importing, and they also don't want to build out the development program that the other top teams that don't spend the money have done. And so what, Mark?
I was gonna say, I feel like, to answer the question, that they should be trying, like, all the top 5 money spenders are doing their thing, and we know how they operate. The bottom 5 should all be trying to kind of CLG it a little bit.
Or FlyQuest. FlyQuest did the same thing. They more or less rebuild last year and kept that ship steady and continued with the rebuild this year, which is why I really like what FlyQuest did, despite the fact everyone was shitting on them a little bit at the start of this year.
What do you think CLG did, Mark? Do you think that they just played like the slots essentially to get that lineup?
I mean,
that's kind of what it feels like, right? Because they didn't do anything too revolutionary. Like, they did what a lot of these other teams that don't want to spend a lot of money have done. They are like hodgepodge of stuff.
So on a roster acquisition level, I see what you're saying. I think there is some truth to, like, sometimes you just get lucky. Like, you sign a bunch of like younger North American players who have been on mostly bottom teams or academy teams recently, and they seem to click. But that did not happen instantly. They were a 9th place team in spring,
Right.
and they were running it down during portions of it. Contracts is a totally different player. He literally was at 50 deaths through the first half of spring, and he was at 25 in summer. He cut his deaths in half, and he's like borderline all-pro jungler right now. I mean, it's a tough race with junglers, but like, you know, what they did was they invested a lot into coaching staff. They have a lot of positional coaches. You heard Palafox talking about like DeMonte and stuff. They have people that they invested in. Like these players were not just brought on and kicked to the curb when they got 9th, which is something that a lot of teams do when they start struggling, is they panic and start removing things. You know, they made the one change they thought they needed, which was bringing in Dokla for Jenkins, and that worked out. And so to your point about
MVP, by the way.
MVP discussion, sure, why not?
I'm half joking.
Someone in chat said it. They could, who knows? Maybe if they go 3-0 and they fucking rip through the top at the end, who knows? Anything's possible. But
whenever
to that
they
point,
destroy
Travis, like,
Impact,
it's just destroy. I feel like to that point, like you do need to invest in coaching staff and like the players. And when we say invest in the players, it means like actually give them opportunities to improve. And I don't know how they kept their spirits high while 9th, because they apparently did that in spring. But like whatever behind the scenes team building they were doing worked. So I think that's what the team should be working on a little bit.
So then I feel like
they were able to go ahead, Travis. Sorry.
I was just gonna say, wait, which pro player did we have on recently that was flaming like infrastructure or development is like a term? Was it Vulcan? Somebody flamed it.
I don't remember.
Soul, Dokla. Okay, everybody's saying different things. Anyway,
So you don't mean Solo?
I like, at the risk of memeing it, like that kind of does go back to my point about Immortals. Like it doesn't feel like Immortals has, like, what sounds like the answer that CLG had was that they then built out the infrastructure. Even if it wasn't a pipeline, like a talent pipeline, they built out like the coaching infrastructure and like everything they needed, which arguably is very similar to the success that EG has had, because perhaps Greg Kim bringing the playbook over. But Immortals is not doing that, right? And so getting back to all of this, which is, do you rebuild? And should Immortals rebuild? Are they building for the future? Blah blah blah. Like, I don't know. I just feel like if they're not going to invest in sort of creating this like really smart lineup of back office, is that what people say? Then they probably should just be looking to flip talent to the people at the top, and probably flip their organization to another owner, maybe. I don't know. But I just like it. I think that's the challenge. Is like, what do you even do if you're Immortals?
It is tough. We don't know their budgets.
Yeah. All right, Seth. Thank you for the call.
No problem.
Anything you want to shout out before we go on to our last caller?
2 shout outs. Want to shout out my 2009 Alienware computer from somehow barely surviving. So shout out to Alienware.
If you'd like to get a new one, alienware.com/Travis will hook you up.
I just graduated college. I have no money.
Okay, well, you'll get there. Anyway, sorry, continue.
Go into debt for it. I'm just kidding.
Oh boy, okay.
What do you,
No.
They have great financing plans. Okay, what do you want?
Second shout out to myself for like a month ago for saying that TSM should maybe hit a soft rebuild, and both Mark and Jet saying and then TSM. I would like to believe they.
Wait, you didn't say soft rebuild. You said emergency button. Or
I said maybe
button.
I said maybe they should hit it, or they should hit it softly. And TSM, I like to believe they listened to me. They probably didn't, of course, but they seem to have agreed on some level. So shout out to myself for being half right at the very least on that. Half joking.
Good
So,
on you.
also shout out to you guys for being such great content creators, especially you, Trav, for doing this all the time.
Thank you.
And yes, I'm a CLG fan. And I can confirm I also hate you.
And thank you. I do it all the time, unlike Mark. So I appreciate the especially. Thank you, Seth.
All right, thank you.
Catch you next time. All right, Mark is off to get the last caller. He's fading, you can tell. Moon Shadow, thank you for the Prime. There's a really great restaurant called Moon Shadows that is in Malibu. I've gone there a couple times. Great date place. A little pricey, but it's on the water. Highly recommend. All right, Laxo is here. Laxo, where are you calling from?
Hey, I go by Max. I'm in Albany, New York.
Max. What do you want to talk about on the show?
Yeah, so my take is just LCS casters and their narratives / the viewer cam can affect player perception and ultimately impact their careers potentially greater than their performance. The LCS focuses too much on historic performance and predetermined narratives instead of what's actually happening in the short streaks game to game.
So you say player cams?
Yeah, not player cams, but the
I think
viewer
he just means,
cams.
yeah, like the observers.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Okay.
You know, I mean, that's kind of an old take, but there was just a time that stuck out, and there have been multiple times back when the observers were kind of bad, where, say, Jensen solo killed Perks, I remember, in a TL versus Cloud9 game, and they didn't even show it, where I think if it had been switched and Perks killed Jensen back when Perks was being hyped as, like, the biggest NA acquisition of all time, they would have showed it.
Oh, okay.
That's old. No. I have much newer takes than that. That was just
no. That's my point is that is a straight tinfoil hat take right there. So
Sorry,
I hope that the more recent ones are the observers are not like, ooh, we're hyping this guy. Let's not show him down 4.
Sure. So I'll go with the simple ones. The fact that Core JJ is still being called the best support in NA. Vulcan rarely gets. Vulcan's considered good, but when Core JJ lands a Leona ult, half the time some of the casters will say, well, that's why he's the best support in NA, where Vulcan flashes over a skill shot, does comparable things or better, and he doesn't get the same credit. I guess that's really, it's just the narratives that get repeated over and over can often affect the perception.
So sorry, is this about the casters and the desk, or is it about the observers?
No, not about the observers. It's more the casters than the desk, and just the overall narratives.
I mean, I'm down for any take that is about how the analyst desk sucks, and I can't agree. I mean, this year especially, the casting has gotten worse. I don't know what additions they've made to the casting lineup, but I agree.
I do think it's getting better. I mean, I guess I'll give one more recent example. Was for a couple weeks they were saying Abbedagga was bad in lane, despite his laning stats being great. He just wasn't getting a lot of solo kills. And it wasn't until JoJo says, no, I think Abbedagga's laning is good. And then Abbedagga had Mark looks really upset. Am I wrong?
You're horribly wrong. Yeah, that's why we said that, dude.
Because he wasn't getting solo?
No, because he was literally bottom of the barrel in every fucking stat you could look up through the first 3 weeks.
Is that true for summer 2022?
Yeah, he was negative 8.4 CSD, second worst in the league, second worst goal difference at 15.
Mark, it's so disgusting when
he died second most amount of times in lane during the first 15 minutes of the game. He was playing bad, and then he played good afterwards. You want to know his stats now? He's fucking killing it. Second in CSD at 15 through the last 3 weeks. Second in goal difference. Like, he's popping off. Do you want to know why we said that? It's because it's what was fucking happening.
Mark, I just think it's disgusting how you rely on these old narratives.
So the thing is, too, the Vulcan versus Core JJ one, I think I was like the first person to start saying that Core JJ might get overrated. He's only won 2 championships. Like, I don't want to say that this doesn't happen. So the broader point, to step back from the specific examples, there is weight to history, especially in best of ones, because people, as we've just talked about with Team Liquid finding this win, you are balancing on a point. If you immediately react to everything that happens that week, you are results-based analysis. You are just following exactly what happened in the game. You have no thoughts on your own. If you stick with history too much, it's narrative. It's, not paying attention to what's happening on the Rift. And so if someone has a good game, or like, let's say a team has a 2-0 week, but they've been so far with the split, not looking so good. Next week, what do you talk about? Do you hop right on the bandwagon? Do you not? This is a constant back and forth that you're balancing when you're making content around this kind of stuff. There are some narratives that absolutely take a little bit longer to get overlooked. Like, one right now is Palafox actually been Giga Smurfing the last 2 weeks. Borderline, you could argue one of the better mids, top 3 mids so far the past 2 or 3 weeks. Is it getting the attention it deserves? Maybe not. He missed his 2 Qs pretty publicly. He missed a couple third Qs, but like Bjerg was whiffing a 0 ult. Jensen's whiffing a 0 ult. Abba's obviously the best one in the league right now. But I think Palafox, you can make the case is actually second best, maybe third best. Is that getting talked about right now? No, but he also didn't have a great start to the split. He was fine, not bad. I mean, but like, I think there's always this balancing act of you also only have a set amount of time.
Well, it's tough too, because I assume you guys don't want to like overhype a player for 2 weeks and then it's like, oh yeah, they just had like 2 weeks, two good weeks, and then they go back to kind of where they were before, and then suddenly it feels oddly wasted.
Like
right?
you're referencing Soul, I assume.
Oh, I don't just mean Soul, but I just mean like across the board. There's a lot of situations where you can get really excited about a player, and then like JoJo, I feel like had this like weird amount of like EG overhyped him, and then in spring he didn't really live up to expectations, and then there was a bunch of backlash, and then he didn't really pop off again until like late in spring or playoffs, right? So I think it can be kind of tough sometimes if you really want to start. Like if you guys had gone super hard on the Palafox stuff, and then he just sucks this weekend, then all the criticism becomes like, oh yeah, these guys hyping Palafox up after just a couple of good games as if he's like the best player in the league, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah, there's a point there too about doing more harm than good by knee-jerking to like something. And the first week that Abbedagge switched from being not very good to being very good, if you immediately say he's playing better, you risk, again, to your points, overhyping, or people will say that you're misrepresenting because it's only been 1 week or whatever. So that's not to say that this stuff doesn't happen, but it's not like, I think the way the community perceives when broadcast makes mistakes as some sort of like nefarious plan to like, oh, we have to hype up Core JJ for some reason. And it's like, it's usually that saying, don't attribute to malice what you can attribute to stupidity. Like it's probably just ignorance on our part about something that we have overlooked or we didn't get a chance to say it. Yeah.
I just think that it's a situation where you guys haven't stopped sucking yet. Like that's why I usually attribute it
Shut
to.
the fuck up, Travis.
So I wasn't trying to attribute it to malice at all. I was just more hyping on, how easy it is to fall into narratives. And I think not trying to drag it out, but the last example I might highlight is how Blabber often still gets referenced as the best jungler in the league. And while Inspired's getting more and more credit, I don't think Santorin's ever got full credit. I don't think either Santorin or Inspired, no matter what they do over the next 2 or 3 splits, would ever get put in the same category as Blabber, despite
you do know that he was the leading MVP candidate heading into this weekend that everyone was talking about, right?
You're saying Inspired?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, but as far as the greatest jungler, like I still hear Blabber's the greatest jungler, regardless of the MVP.
That was a historical list, dude. Are you talking about the top 5 of LCS histories where he got second place?
No. I'm not. I'm just talking about the general narrative about how much Blabber's praised, and it's not necessarily warranted by his performance.
I feel like he's been getting a ton of criticism on Split.
I'm a little confused how you can say that the conversation is Inspired as MVP candidate, but also we're saying contracts or that Blabber's the best jungler in the league, when we're actively saying someone else is going to get MVP over him. I just don't see how those two narratives could possibly coexist. They're mutually exclusive narratives.
Mark, did you see what Papa Smithy said in the chat to you?
No, what'd he say? Leader plays LCS this week. Could the people on JustCast watch his last 5 Academy games and give a deep impression on what he's showing versus Abo? Well,
Blaze Olive.
Blaze Olive. I mean, they did do that a little bit when we had the time to do it. I don't know if you saw the thing where we talked about his champ pool differences, as well as I think there was a highlight package that we went into. I don't know if you watched the segment or not, but I think there was at least an attempt by the analyst desk to cover some of the differences and what he's going to bring to the lineup. Yeah, Emily touched on it.
Do it again, Mark. All right.
Okay. Sometimes I'm just like, I don't know. Did you not see it, or did you think it was done poorly? Because those are also 2 different conversations as well.
Yeah.
I also didn't want to talk too much about Leader because he fucking ran it in a lot of situations. I just like, you don't want to put a guy down. A little bit that Bambi quote, like I don't have that much good to say right now.
I mean, I also feel like
top lane dive, like, oh my god.
I mean, I also assume that like you guys probably want towards when we're in week 7 out of 8. I'm guessing you guys want to start coalescing your conversation around the teams that you think will be most relevant in playoffs, and we don't know if Golden Guardians is going to make it there.
So here's a conversation for you. If a player gets randomly yeeted into a team in week 7 and you're not sure they're going to make playoffs, how much broadcast time should you devote to that versus building up things that are going to be happening, for sure in the future? Like it is a zero. Like you do have a set amount of time. We're supposed to have 17 minutes between games, and a portion of that goes to post-game interviews. There's a 5-minute break or whatever it is, and then you have SOTs and features and ads and whatnot, and you get your time to talk about it. Like, what are you going to talk about? And you do have to weigh that.
Yeah. All right. Anyway, thank you so much, Alaxo, for the call. Is there anything that you want to shout out?
Yeah, I'll shout out to you, Travis. I saw you in spring 2016, but was too starstruck to say hello. I'll shout out to my girlfriend, Katie, and I'll shout out to Grubhub Alienware, and Mark, you're cool too.
Are you going to try to...
I appreciate the hot take. I had fun at the end.
Are you going to try to go to Worlds this year?
Yeah,
Alaxo?
yeah. I'm definitely going to go to semifinals and possibly groups too.
Yeah, well, I hope maybe we'll see you there. Don't be starstruck. I am really pretty average and mediocre. Anyway, thanks so much for the call. And we'll
I appreciate it.
Okay. That is the show. Mark Zimmerman, anything you want to shout out here at the end?
Shout out to Sandman. Check that out. Resin Refresh tomorrow. We're supposed to finish Mona's thing, right?
Yes.
Feeling good about that?
We were supposed to have a guest, but I have not heard back from him after my multiple emails. So
watch the Blame Game. The Blame Game editor just shouted out, watch the Blame Game. Absolutely should do that.
Is he in the chat?
Yeah.
Oh, he's here because I'm about to on air tease the next episode of Surprise Test. Because I haven't watched it yet, but he sent me like a rough cut of it, so I figured I'd just air the rough cut and people can provide feedback. I'm downloading it right now, so we'll do that. Nobody leave if you guys want to watch the next episode of Surprise Test. I don't know if it's as good as Geography, but we'll see. I have been trying to make good content to save the LCS lately. I decided after years of making mediocre content to start making
after years of showing up and doing the bare minimum.
Yeah.
Sticking a microphone in front of
for a while, I was like, you know what? I'm gonna if the broadcast is phoning it in, that's where I'll be. But as the broadcast has started to rally, you know what? I'm alongside with them. So please go check out Dinner With, a very cool, fancy, long-form interview series that I'm doing with Grubhub. I think it's pretty good. We're doing Surprise Test too, which is just me ripping off LEC Pop Quiz. It's got some very fast pacing and stuff. I posted it to my TikTok, which is at Travis Gafford. I think it's been doing pretty well there. People like the TikTok, the Tickety Talk.
Tickety Top, the fun don't stop.
Every time we talk about TikTok, the YouTube comments are talking about how fucking old we are and how much we sound like
I'm gonna make you guys cringe so hard that you're gonna fucking internally combust.
Yeah.
You can't stop me. The more you do it, the more I'm like, the TikTok.
I don't even know if I follow you on TikTok yet, Mark. Are you still posting?
Follow you.
What? Can we follow each other? Is it the Mark Z?
With an underscore at the end, I think.
Okay. Yeah. All right. I'm searching you right now. I found you. You've got 34 followers.
Poggers.
And I followed you, so now you have 35. Your last video is about a banana, I think.
It's a good video, actually.
Yeah. All right.
I had fun with the edits.
Some cool stuff going on, though, at Travis Gafford Industries. Hopefully we'll have some information about Live Hotline League at Chicago Finals. I have nothing to share yet, but hopefully soon. And maybe even some Worlds information, too. So thanks, everybody. Life's going to get really cool over the next couple of months. At least that's what I'm telling myself. Oh, I'm also going. It's sold out, but I'm going to DragonSteelCon in November. If anybody else is going, you can say hi to me there. All right. That's it. See y'all later. Bye.
Bye.